Jim with Cyber-Recon. Right now, we're going to jump in and we're going to talk about DLP, or data loss protection, data loss prevention, or data loss protection. This is hugely important today. Corporations' largest assets in many cases is their information, is their data. The bad guy is always trying to exfiltrate data from organizations and use that to increase their profit margin or the standing of their government, whatever. There's a ton of reasons why folks are trying to get your information. As a security professional, it's your job to protect that information. Tools and technologies is this part of domain 2 for the Security Plus exam. 2.1, this is one of the networking tools, a DLP service or DLP appliance. Data loss prevention is the name of the game, and we're going to jump right into it. So this is DLP, data loss prevention. You'll hear data loss protection as well, but it is officially prevention. NIST says a system ability to identify, monitor, protect, detect, in use, endpoint actions, data in motion, network actions, or data at rest, data storage, through deep packet content inspection, contextual security analysis of transaction, attributes of originator data, medium, timing, recipient, destination, etc. Within a centralized management framework, data loss prevention capabilities are designed to detect and prevent the unauthorized use and transmission of information. Modified slightly, that used to say NSS information and National Security Systems information, but for this group, we just want any information, right? We want to protect all our information. So we're talking about protecting data in motion, data at rest, data in transit, right? Data in use, I should say. So employ these at the critical locations in your network, generally as data is being used or as data is leaving your organization. Definitely want to throw DLP endpoints in there. Detect for specific patterns or matching in the system. And it's got to observe the traffic or observe the data to provide protection for that data. Pattern matching has been around for a long time. There's a number of ways DLP solutions can protect data. Things like tagging of data. If you're in an organization that is advanced enough to tag data with classifications, DLP can look for those tags. Say if you mark something as confidential or secret or company confidential, and that stuff is not supposed to leave the organization, you can have DLP in your email solution look for those tags. It also will do pattern matching, and this is one of the things that's been around probably the longest. We know that in the United States, a social security number is 3 numbers, followed by 2 numbers, followed by 4 numbers. We can pattern match on that. If a DLP solution sees something that's going out, it's 9 numbers in that pattern of 3, 2, 4, or just 9 numbers strung together, a DLP solution can say, hey, there's a good chance that this is a social security number. And if we're protecting PII, a lot of times we'll turn that on. The DLP will activate and will stop that data, that email, that transfer from leaving the organization because it sees a pattern match of something that looks like a social security number. Usually that's going to require some type of human review to release it. So something like a manager may have to look at the email and approve it for release. There's all kinds of reasons we do DLP solutions. In some financial organizations, a DLP solution is put in place because they can't do certain things. Like some brokerage firms can't promise a return on investment. So they'll have solutions put in place that prevents email from going out that would promise a return on investment. So they look for keywords like promise or guarantee, and they flag on that. So we can have specific keywords we look for. We can have patterns we look for. We can have logarithms that are set. We can have data tagging. There's a number of ways we can go forward with DLP. One of the tools we definitely have to watch out for when we're looking at DLP solutions is how do we handle USB devices. USB is a great technology. It provides high speed, high volume technology for use, but it also provides that same functionality for the exfiltration of sensitive data from your organization. There are a number of ways we can protect against USB. We can physically disable the USB port. That may be going into the board and disconnecting the connectors. Or I've seen some organizations where they physically will fill the USB port with something like thermal glue or silicone or something that just prevent somebody from attaching a USB drive to that device. Obviously, we can use software to disable the USB ports as well. That's within the operating system or by an enterprise DLP solution, which of course, if you're in a large organization, you're going to want an enterprise solution anyways. You're not going to want somebody to be required to go around and fill every USB port with silicone. Most enterprise solutions prevent the transfer of data to a USB without authorization. That's a big thing. There are a lot of cases where you're going to have someone in your organization that can transfer data onto USB drives. Some software can actually allow data transfer into the enterprise, but not out. And obviously, when we're transferring data into the enterprise, there's another set of things we need to worry about, things like malware being transferred in on a USB drive. So we have to worry about that. So we'll set that aside. That's not a DLP problem, that's a malware problem. But just remember that there's a number of layers of things we have to think about when we implement solutions like this. So we can have a solution that allows data in, but will not allow data out. We know we're moving to the cloud. So in cloud, some traditional DLP methodologies can't really easily be transferred to the cloud, like filling the USB port of a device with silicone. It doesn't work when somebody's accessing the cloud, especially with a BYOD, that you can't modify like that. So you have to come up with other ideas, other ways to do it. Obviously, the people move to the cloud because the size of the environments, it scales well, and the availability of the environment to scale and availability to provide redundant services, that high availability of the cloud. These things all provide DLP challenges to the DLP solutions. As data increases, as the size of our cloud environment increases, obviously that's going to be a challenge for the DLP to be monitoring more locations. As we go across regions for backup and availability reasons, that's more places DLP has to watch. Obviously, as we move forward, cloud solutions are being developed to provide DLP across the whole environment, protecting data and allowing transfer. It's one of those things every organization is going to go through. As you move to the cloud, you're going to have to update your protection capabilities because the cloud is the same but different. If you've been around, if you're working with cloud, you know that's the truth. Email is a common way that data is exfiltrated from an organization, either inline in the body of the text or as attachments. Normally we see bigger amounts of data being exfiltrated as an attachments. Obviously our solutions, DLP solutions, or just our general mail solutions can go through and block attachments. A lot of people, their first step in DLP is using their mail system, Exchange for example, and just restrict the types of attachments that can go out, or maybe restricting attachments at all. And that's hard to implement because people want to transfer things, and sometimes they have to transfer things, especially if you're doing something like maybe you're sending documents between users. It's hard to stop all attachments if you can't send Word or Excel or PowerPoint between people. Blocking zip files was done early on by a lot of organizations to prevent this transfer of data. Enterprise DLP solutions handle this. They scan mail at the server and at outbound locations. They use rules and signatures and tagging to prevent data loss. Obviously, as you build something like this, somebody has to maintain it. Somebody has to be in charge of keeping it update and make sure it's doing the job it's doing. And that runs to the end of our line, the end of the story here. So that should give you a rundown of DLP. That's what you need to know for Domain 2 of the Security Plus exam. That's what you need to know just for the basic understanding of your DLP solution. What is DLP? What functionality does it provide? What challenges are faced? That's all stuff we just covered. So again, Jim with Cyber-Recon. If you can, like and subscribe. Hit that bell to be notified. Comment below. Let me know what you think. I really appreciate you coming out. As always, we will see you next time, and be safe out there.